So let me put the recording up. Lovely. And then we're going to warm up in standing, as we quite often do. So when you're ready, just come to stand for me. Okay. So a little bit of upper back and shoulder work in our warm-up, which is really going to help us to find and set that lovely posture that opens the fronts of the shoulders and also takes a little bit of load away from our neck. So with that said, let's just start with some shoulder rolls, just to loosen off the shoulders and the muscles that connect the shoulders and the neck. Lovely. And then just use this next one to find that shoulder set position. So your two things to think about is just lengthening through your collarbones and just gently sliding those shoulder blades down and just seeing if you can tuck them towards the direction of your back pockets. Holding that lovely shoulder set position throughout, we're going to float the arms just up to 90 degrees to begin with, so just to shoulder height and back down again. And let's coordinate some breath work with this. So breathe in as we float up, gently tightening the tummy as we go, and out. Lovely. And again, breathing in, thinking about the shoulder blades sinking down as the hands float up. Good work. We've got two more. I really want you to focus this mid area of your back. So start to feel that area become more active and energized. Okay, you're going to hold this next one. So bring your hands just to shoulder height. Turn your palms so that they're facing down towards the floor. Now that spot that I just mentioned, we're going to gently squeeze together as we bring the elbows towards the back of the room and then come forwards again. Now imagine your hands are on a table and you're just sliding your hands along the table. So try and keep your hands in line with your shoulders at all times. A good squeeze at the shoulders. And release. So here we squeeze and release. Don't let those elbows drop down. Keep them up at shoulder height, but try not to shrug the shoulders. Oh dear, my camera's going really funny. Good, so we pull here, squeeze and release. Two more. Squeeze, tightening the tummy as we squeeze and release. One more. Hold them here so your elbows are in line with your shoulders. So not a complete squeeze, just so you've got that kind of plane of movement through the side of your body. Stay standing. I'm just going to kneel so you can see this, okay? You're imagining that you're stopping the traffic. So you bring your hands to face forwards and then down. Now keep those shoulders as best as you can and elbows in line with one another. You should really feel that at the back of your shoulders now. We're working your rotator cuff. So elbows in line with your shoulders. Bring your elbows a little bit higher for me, Liz. That's better, good, and down. 90 degrees between the trunk and the shoulder and the elbow. And we're just rotating on the upper arm. Keep that tummy gently drawn in. Give the arms a little bit of a shake out if you need to. Do you okay when you're back in? Just bend your elbows a little bit more for me on the next one. Good work, everyone. Two more. And then hold that traffic still. So stop the traffic. We're going to come back to that pulsing now. This time, drawing the backs of the hands to the back of the room. So we squeeze and pull, squeeze and pull, feeling the chest wall opening from here. Really nice one to lengthen those pec muscles. They get quite tight if we're sat like this all day at computers or desks or what have you. Keep that tummy gently drawn in. So those arms should be feeling like they're getting super heavy now. So if you need to, shake it out, give them a little rest so that you can come back in and reset that form. We're going to do 3 more squeezes 2 more. We got 1 more thing for these arms. So find that neutral point again. So elbows in line with the shoulders. And then we're going to reach up towards the ceiling. Now, as we come up, glide the shoulder blades down into the back pockets and then come back down again. So we're not coming up with the shoulders and the hands. We want nice long necks. You stay standing. I'm just kneeling so you can see. That should feel quite tricky to do as we load up the muscles around the shoulders without letting these upper neck muscles take over. They're quite good at taking over, but that's why we get kind of strain and a lot of tension building up in here. We want to strengthen those muscles around the shoulder blades. We're going to do 6 more with the option of adding a heel raise as well. So as we raise up with the hands, come up onto tiptoes and down. Keep those arms going if you can. I know they're burning. Mine are, and I've done a lot less repetitions than you are. 4 more. Breathe out as you come up, in as you go down. 3 more. 2 more. Well done, everyone. Oh, the arms, we're going to feel this tomorrow. We've got press-ups coming up in a minute as well. Hold it there. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down with one arm, come down with your heels, and then come up with that arm and repeat on the other side. So just a nice flowing movement. One arm lifts, the other arm lowers. Keep that shoulder position set. Good. Okay, now I did promise you we weren't going to do too much coordination work this evening. This is the little bit of coordination work that we've got. Opposite hand to opposite leg. So as your left hand lowers, your right heel lifts. As your left hand lifts, your right heel lowers, and vice versa. So opposite hand, opposite leg. Now keep that pelvis nice and level. So make sure those hips aren't shifting from side to side as you release the foot on that one side. If you want to take it a little bit more, you can bring it into a stand, take it into balance. You would be shifting your weight across on that, but just making sure those pelvic bones sit level as you release one leg to the side. Good work, everyone. Keep it going. Let's challenge the balance a little bit more. So hold this next one. If you've got your foot on the floor, light pressure through your toe. Tummy drawn in, pelvis level. 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Swap sides. Lift and hold the leg. 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Down we come. Oh, I think we need to give these arms a little bit of a rest, don't we? Okay, let's work the legs a little bit more before we come onto the mat. Hands on your hips for me. Feet back to hip distance apart. Oh yeah, I've reminded myself what I've planned now. A nice sequence for the legs. So just starting with some little knee bends, dropping into a squat, but nothing too deep. So just perching your bottom back and coming back to stand. Let's get that pelvic floor going, tightening as we push to stand. Release to come down, squeeze to come up. Shoulders go back, hip comes forwards, and the spine stays nice and long. Let me see those. Oh, you've got it. Looking great. Okay, so we're going to add on from here. If it gets too complicated, just come back to your squats. But in between every squat, we're going to add in a step behind. So we squat, and then we step back. We squat, we step back, straight leg out behind, okay? Squeeze your bottom and keep your back straight. Don't let your tailbone lift too much. So we're not arching the back to get the leg behind. We're using these hip muscles. And if you need to, take it a little bit slower so that you can find your balance as you stretch that leg out behind. Just a little tap of the toe with the leg out to the back. Okay, so squat down, extend, and hands on the hips are there to keep that pelvic position just monitored nicely. Good work, everyone. A little bit of balance. Front knee stays soft. Okay, you can stay here or you can take it into a reverse lunge. So we squat. This time as we step back, we bend both knees. Okay, you don't have to add the lunge. The foundation to the lunge is the extension with the foot behind. So if you find it tricky, keep going with those leg taps behind, okay? Or add the lunge. Remembering that as we lunge, we're trying to take a bit more weight into our back leg so that we're not overloading the front knee. Knees behind toes. Okay, heart rate's coming up now. If you were cold at the start of class, you should be warm now. Let's do 2 more on each side. 1 more on each side. Lovely. Now we're all going to take it into a lunge. So you've got 1 foot behind. Okay, find that lunge position. So your back knee bends, your front knee bends with it. Okay, but you can still see your toes on your front foot. Hips are level, so make sure your pelvis hasn't kind of twisted to one side. We're just going to hold it here so you can really work on control and balance. And if balance isn't your strong point with this, hold on to something. Not a problem. You should really be feeling it in this back thigh here. And if you're not feeling it in your back thigh, you're going to add a pulse, okay? So hold or pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, looking good, 2 and 1. Lovely. Slowly step those feet back in and set up for your second side. So big step out behind, bend down into that back knee. Now look at your front knee. Make sure that front knee isn't drifting across your body. You want that knee cap to be pointing dead straight and forwards. Hands on your hips, level out your pelvis and hold here. Tuck under with your tailbone, be tall through the top half of your body. Okay, and if you want a little bit more, add a pulse for me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You can hold on to something if you want. 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Lovely. Slowly step your feet together and just give those legs a little bit of a shake out. Okay, we better come down onto the mat. So we're going to come down into just, you do a roll down just to open up the back, and then we'll come down into a box position. So if you want to stand at the end of your mat facing forwards, just one of these I think this evening. So enjoy it, take your time, start off nice and tall. Remember every bone in your spine, we're going to try and get it moving. Breathing out, slowly down. Rolling through the bones of your spine. Knees can be soft, so don't force it. As I say, we're only going to do one of these. Slowly, slowly, slowly until you come down so your hands are on the mat. Bending your knees if you need to help with that. Just walk those hands forwards and we're coming out into our box position. Give you a second just to switch around your cameras if you need to. Well done, guys. We're on the mat now, okay? So we're a third of the way through. Okay. So we're just going to go straight into press-ups and I'll talk you through your coaching points because we did these last week. So hopefully you remember. Okay, so chest press, where the chest lowers down towards the mat, but we're thinking about keeping the back of the head lifted. We're thinking about keeping the shoulders sliding down the spine and the tailbone tucked in, and drawing the tummy in towards the spine as we press, so it becomes a bit of a core exercise at the same time. And remember, it's your heart that leads the movement and not your nose. So even as you're lowering down, you're working to keep the back of your head lifted. And your options really are how deep you go. And if you want to work a little bit harder, just make your box a little bit longer, shift your weight over your wrists, and then come into press up. For those of you that want to, we go all the way down, chest touches the floor, and then push back up again. Okay, but do what works for you. We're going to be here a little bit longer. No nasty surprises, just working here in our press ups. strengthening our shoulders. We did all that lovely foundation work in standing, setting the shoulder posture, building the upper back, stabilizing muscles up, working our muscles without any resistance, and now we're adding that body weight resistance. Good stuff. Keep it going. 6 more. 5, 4, breathing out as you come down. Hopefully my count gives you an idea of how slow I want you to do them. 3, 2, and 1. Really take it back into your heels and just have a little rest in your shelf stretch. Lovely stuff. We've got quite a lot of shoulders actually this evening. I've just realised that, sorry. It's nice to have a break from the hips though, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to come back into our box position in a moment, and I've got a fun little challenge for you if you want to give it a go. Okay, but we're all going to start in our box position. So back of the head lifted, shoulders down, tail tucked underneath, tummy drawn towards the spine. We tuck the toes underneath and we hover the knees off the mat. So we're coming into that kind of baby plank position, tight tummies, hold that for as long as you want to, and then lower the knees down before you reset. So this is called your leg pull prep. It's prep work for your plank, but it's a full body exercise really. We tend to think planks are all about the core, but everything is working. You can feel it in your wrists being loaded up. You can feel it in your shoulders, the back of your neck as it holds your head against gravity, and also your hips. Now make sure as you lift those knees off the mat that your knees don't kind of collapse in toward one another. So you're keeping that hip distance between your knees, and that's going to activate the side of your hips a little bit more as well. Good, keep going, just lift, hold, and lower, holding a little bit longer if you want to. I'll show you what your progression is with this, and this is a little bit of fun. Give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, don't worry. So we want to try and keep the spine as stable as we can, but we're going to add a little bit of side to side movement with our leg pull prep. So what that looks like is we lift the hips off the mat, and then we step left hand and right foot across, back to box, and then right hand and left foot. So we're just moving side to side. You can lower down, so we lift, bring that opposite hand and the opposite foot, otherwise you feel a bit unsteady. And the goal with that movement is not how far you travel, it's about can you do it whilst keeping your pelvis level. So remember, tray of drinks resting on your back. Side, side, down. Or side, 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 side. Keep going until you need to come down, okay? And if that really isn't for you, just keep working on your strength, build up, holding those tabletop holds, those prep holds as best as you can. Let me see how you're getting on with that. Well done. Good work. Okay, whatever option you're doing, we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Sit back into your heels and just give everything a stretch out. Give those wrists a little bit of a shake if you need to. So quite an intense one for the wrists and the shoulders, that, but does really help with that shoulder stability. Okay, we've not got long, so we're just going to come and have a sit on the side now. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done any side prop work, but again, it is quite shoulder and wrist heavy. So if you're finding that your wrist is getting a little bit tired, you can do this next sequence propped up on your forearm. And because you're shortening that lever, it does help the shoulder slightly. But if you want to give it a good go, propping up on your hand. So when we look at this position, we talk a lot about the shoulder and the underside of the rib cage. Can we float the rib cage away from the floor and glide the shoulder away from the ear? So look at the difference between here, just kind of hanging off your shoulder, and here, okay? Try and keep your spine in line so your head doesn't hang down doesn't look down. It kind of continues that length through your spine. And you might find that you're just happy to stay here and you're working really hard to press into the mat, or maybe here if you've taken that forearm option. But if you want to add the hips lift, you can. So we breathe out and we lift and we lower. And as we lift and lower, you can do that with both forearm or hand. You'll really feel the intensity building up through that shoulder as we load the shoulder joint and work those stabilizing muscles. Good. All about the muscles around the shoulder blade that create a strong foundation for our shoulder. But our core is working as well. So let's gently draw the tummy in towards the spine. If you're finding that that's pretty manageable, add a hold for me. So we lift and hold before we lower, but they are tricky, so don't feel like you need to hold them for too long. Lovely, Elaine. Just be mindful that you're not rotating forwards as you come up, otherwise that looks great. That's better. Good. Well done, Jill. Lovely. Can't quite see anybody else, but I'm sure you're doing a great job. Okay, 2 more. And 1 more. Lovely. Lifting and lowering. Super. Okay, just sit back into the centre and give that shoulder a nice big roll for me. Okay, we're going to come up into a kneeling position, have a little bit of a stretch of the spine, and then do some shoulder and hip work, and then we'll flip it all onto the opposite side. Okay, so bring yourself just into high kneeling, so knees and hips stacked on top of one another. And now's a good chance just to kind of gently press the hips forwards and make sure that those hips are in line, so you're not sitting back into your heels. Let's just do a few pelvic tilts, just open things up a touch. Tucking the tailbone underneath. I think when you're kneeling, because you've kind of shortened your thigh muscles, you really do feel the kind of stretch in the front of the hip when we took the tailbone underneath. Okay, so keep that pelvis nice and level now. Let's find that lovely shoulder posture, hands at shoulder height, tummy drawn in, and breathing out, we rotate to one side, look at the direction of your twist, come back to the centre, second side, and as we twist, just make sure those shoulders don't creep up to the ears as well. Keeping your belly button pointing forward, so it is all in that upper back and around the shoulder blades. Good work. Nice little move just to open the spine. A couple more on each side. Back to the centre, check the shoulders. Go again. Lovely. Okay, down we go with the hands. So we're going to take it into our high kneeling side prop position. Now, sometimes it can feel like the floor's quite a long way away, so you can make your life a little bit easier by leaning onto your sofa, or you could kind of make a tower of pillows to lean into, because we're going to try and end in this kind of position. So if your hand's not on the floor and it's just resting on something, maybe a coffee table, that's perfect. But if you want to go for the full position, we're here. Now, if you don't get on with this position at all, then just take it down into side lying, okay? Because we're going to be working this top hip. Now, if the hip gets tired, take it down into side lying. So even if it's not necessarily the position with the shoulder, then just come down onto side lying. Okay, so we want to make the body as flat as we can, even in side lying position. Top leg is nice and long. Okay, now this is going to really hit those hips because we've not done a lot of hip work. So I just want you to do tiny leg lifts. You don't have to come too high. Your challenge really, if you want to take it higher, you can. But we're keeping the side of that body nice and long, and we're keeping that under hip tucked under. So try not to lean too much into your hands with this one. You're actually trying to take the weight away from your hands towards your feet. So imagine there's a magnet on this side of your room that's pulling you towards that side of the room, and that will get your top hip working and the underside of your hip working. Now, if you're struggling with that, come down onto your side. Or if you're struggling with the leg lift but your shoulder feels good, bend your knee and lift the leg with the knee bent. So I've given you quite a few different variations there. So I'm going to give you loads of repetitions so you can work out what works for you, okay? So you're either in a side prop, maybe with your hand resting on your sofa, and you're doing leg lifts from there. That's very hard to demonstrate when you're not leaning into anything. Or here, with the knee bent, or the legs straight, or you're down on your side. Okay, let me come and see you. Let's go for about 6 more because those glutes should be firing off now. Nice, good work. 5 more. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. I won't make you hold because you were there for a while. That's it. Come back into the centre. And if you want to just have a quick stretch out, you can. But we've still got to do the other side, so we won't stretch for too long. Okay. Now you know what the options are. We're going to go back into that same exercise, but swap it over before we come on to our side planks. So choose your option. You might find that you can't necessarily do the same option on both sides. So don't feel like you have to go to that same level. Try a higher level and regress it if you need to. Okay, so we're back in that kneeling position. We're lengthening one leg to the side and then bringing one hand down onto the mat, maybe propping up if we need to. Okay, try and make your body as flat as you can. And then when you're ready, add those leg lifts. Breathe out as the leg comes up and in as it goes back down. And remember, your magnet is now on the opposite side of your room. So you're being pulled in the direction of your feet. So light pressure through your hand. It's there to support you, but your legs are doing most of the work to lift and stabilise. Try it with the knee bent. And if you're not getting on, come down and lie on your side. That's it. Take it down onto your side if you need to. Well done, Elaine. Good effort there. Well done, Jill. Liz, can't see you, but I'm sure you're working hard. Moona, same for you and Paul. Okay, 4 more. These are long, heavy legs. 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Good stuff. Coming down. Come down straight onto your side for me. So back in that side prop position. Okay, so you should now be on the opposite shoulder. Hopefully that all works out. Okay, so we've gone from this end of the mat to this end of the mat, or maybe opposite for you. Okay, so set yourself back up again. Remember, it's all about the lift from the underside of the shoulder, sliding that shoulder down into our back pockets, and we can stay here. Okay, remember, if your wrist isn't tolerating that, you can come down onto your forearm. Otherwise, we add our lift and then we add our lower. Gently push the hips forwards so that your spine stays nice and long as you lift. You can squeeze your bottom at the same time, so we're getting those hips engaged. Squeeze the knees together. It gives us a little bit of kind of adductor pelvic strength. But most importantly, we're working on that shoulder. And as you lift up, make sure that you don't sink down into your shoulder. So you're really pressing the hand into the mat, or the forearm into the mat. Starting to add a little bit of a hold if you want to. Or just lifting and lowering. Really nice. We're just going to have a little stretch after this. So last little bit of effort. Good work, everyone. Good stuff. I'll give you a chance to do a couple more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great stuff. Come down onto your mat and just come into sitting for me. Sitting with your knees bent or legs crossed, whatever works for you. And we're just going to take it back to where we began. So nice big shoulder rolls. Let's make this movement quite mindful. So close your eyes at the same time. And just work on gently drawing your lower tummy towards your spine and breathing deeply. Now, with every breath out, just really force the air into the space around you so that you're really letting any tension go. Now, even though you're sat, see if you can be tall with your posture. Piece of string attached to the crown of your head that's lengthening you upwards. 3 more rolls through those shoulders. Those shoulders should feel tired, but that roll should feel good. 2 more. And 1 more. And then feel free to stay here with your eyes closed if you want to just practice a little bit of mindfulness, or you can come back to that at a later date.